episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show is recorded on November the 20th, 2018. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the organizer himself.
Caffeine Rage? I'm not sure if I'm that organized.
Nah, you do the show notes. You said you had a bullet point list this week. It was the first thing that popped into my head, so I went with it. Anyways, on today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games we have played over the last couple of weeks, since we needed to run a Franken episode last week. Fire Sale Episode 3, Return of the Walking Dead. Yes, we're talking about Telltale once again.
Woo.
Valve discontinues the Steam Link hardware. Star Citizen celebrates its anniversary and $200 million raised with a free week and new planet. Fallout 76. What a shit pile. We're gonna just talk about this for a little bit. We will have a mention of our community corner and our Steam weekly discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
What schmamps?
I don't know how or why it came out that way, but it did. And it's okay. I just went with it.
Maybe you had too much cheese.
Maybe too much Monster. I'm on Monster number 4 today.
Yeah, you need to lower the dosage.
It was, maybe.
Yeah, either lower the dosage or raise it so much that you hit that caffeine nirvana, that point where everything just kind of slows down right before you crash, or your heart explodes. One of the two.
I had two 16-ounce Monsters today, and then I had two of the, I think they're they're either 28 or 32 ounces. I don't know if you've seen them or not before, but they're the big ones with the pop top lids that you can actually screw back on.
Are these the ones that come in the gallon drums? The 55-gallon drums?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, dare I ask why you have to... how many ounces is this?
That's a lot, like a half a gallon worth of Monster Energy drink today.
Now, the question is, whenever you go to the bathroom, are you just going to bottle it and reuse it? Go full Bear Grylls, because you're going to be pissing Monster at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to use that to, like gasoline. It's going to have so much octane in it. I also had coffee today. I had 2 cups of coffee today. I've had a really busy yesterday and today, and expect a very busy tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving here in the United States for our international listeners who might not be aware.
Yeah, it's turkey killing day.
So this week I had Thursday, or will have Thursday and Friday off. Time travel, recordings, ooh. But that means that I had to cram a week's worth of appointments into 3 days, and I'm slowly dying on the inside.
Yeah, and that's...
Although I'm not sure if it's the appointments or the caffeine that's killing me.
Well, I'm not hurting you much, so... but slowly dying on the inside. And this is before your family shows up.
Yeah, I know. Which I'm not going to get into that. You know the story about what happened. I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast, though. Because I honestly don't want to talk about it again.
Well, I wasn't trying to lead in that story. It was more just a general, right?
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. I just logged on and checked my schedule for tomorrow because I'm thinking about it. I have a cancellation. I get a lunch. I get a lunch tomorrow. I'm gonna block that off right now while I'm sitting here. Select activity, clinic activity, block.
Executive time.
Message, lunch. Show message to front desk.
What?
Yes, I'm doing work right now, giving myself a lunch. It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Or a Thanksgiving miracle.
So you're not going to be twitching as much tomorrow from just having to sustain yourself on pure Monster Energy.
I'm going to take a nap tomorrow during that time.
I'm the guy that has caffeine in his name, and I haven't drank nearly that much caffeine in the last, week. I have 2 coffees in the morning. And
I was
occasionally a cold brew coffee, which is like 1.5 mugs worth.
Maybe that's why I hurt so much. Symptoms of caffeine
overdose.
poisoning overdose. Let's see, main crude breathing trouble. I always have breathing trouble. Changes in alertness, maybe. Confusion,
What?
always. Convulsions, no. Diarrhea, no. Dizziness, no. Fever, no. Hallucinations, no. Increased thirst, yes. Increased urination, no. Regular heartbeat, no. Muscle twitching, no. Rapid heartbeat. Trouble sleeping, vomiting, no. And no. So I don't think I'm overdosing on caffeine.
Oh, so you're good to record with me tonight. Got it.
Probably my blood pressure's up, though. That's probably a thing.
So, moving right along.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. That's
after...
enough about my addiction issues. I hadn't thought about it until just now, but I've had a lot of caffeine today.
Yeah, I was saying here, trying to do the math in my head and thinking, 30. Now this seems like a lot. This seems like an unhealthy amount of caffeine. And once again, this is coming from me.
How much caffeine is in your energy drink? Let's figure this. I have to figure this out, and then we'll move on. Come on, WebMD. I'm just waiting for it to tell me cancer. Cancer is actually in your energy drink. Oh my god.
I mean, cancer is the lupus of WebMD, right?
Yeah. Why are these not in alphabetical order? That's stupid.
Is it by caffeine dosage?
No. Yes. From least to most.
Well,
you got me there.
It was a fair guess, right? If it wasn't alphabetical, it's likely caffeine or sugar would have been my second guess.
Right. 70 milligrams per 8 ounces. So let's just... Where's my calculator here? Calculator. Okay, so 70 times... We'll just say a half gallon for easy. That's what, 64 ounces? For easy math. Oh, shit. 70 times 64. Oh. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. I did that wrong.
Yeah, it was per 8, isn't it?
Yeah, per 8. So that's 8 servings. 560 milligrams of caffeine.
Well, according to the Mayo Clinic, the safe limit for most healthy adults is 400 milligrams.
Plus, I had 2 cups of coffee, which per 8 ounces, I believe, are somewhere around like 100 milligrams of caffeine. So I'm at like 800 to 900 for the day. Plus, I had some Diet Coke earlier. There's caffeine in Diet Coke. Maybe 1,000. Let's just go for an easy 1,000. It's like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine for the day, guys.
You're trying to go full John Henry and just have your heart explode, aren't you?
Yeah. That is an excellent song. I don't know who sings it. The one I'm thinking of anyways. Well, it's like a hard rock song.
I like this on Mayo Clinic. You drink more than 4 cups of coffee a day. You may want to cut back if you're drinking more than 4 cups of caffeinated coffee a day, or the equivalent, and you're experiencing this, the side effects such as migraines, insomnia, nervousness, irritability, and also known as my entire personality.
That's the song I'm thinking of. I'll put the link to this, just like paste it somewhere, and you can fix it in the show notes. Boom, just so anybody who's interested can look it up. Okay, anyways, now that we have bantered on...
I mean, technically I drink more than 4 cups because I drink half a pot in my 2 mugs, but that's at the very beginning of the day.
Yeah. Alrighty, so and that's enough about caffeine. Let's talk about the games that we played this week, Rage. You had one,
Yeah.
although it's big.
Yeah, I have one
I had
that's
two.
big because, it's the big update for Warframe, but that's not the only thing I've been playing. Once again, though, Warframe's kind of an ongoing thing for me, so I'm playing it whenever I'm not talking about it, but this is last week is the week that, a big updates come out, so, there's stuff to talk about, but just a little bit of a teaser. I've also been playing a little bit of Blood Bowl 2. Not enough to really get a feel for it yet. They do some interesting things on how they present info, which I'm not sure about yet. And I was going to stream Grim Dawn, but I went on a food sojourn and screwed up my shoulder/rib. It was a kind of an odd spot. Let's just put it this way. Trainee bus driver.
Well, he knew the skill stop bus. Like, he had mastered that skill.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and he also mastered the skill miss exit.
No.
I didn't tell you about that, did I?
You did not.
Yeah, the bus system here. We'll be sure to put the timestamp for this after my little sub-story. The bus here, the one that I ride getting back home, it's one of the longer routes. It's like an hour and a half for the entire a half of a loop, from start point to end point before it turns around and heads back. It's kind of a meandering thing, and it goes off the main drag and cuts through various towns here and there. Well, the bus driver missed a turnoff to go to one of the towns. That's the main road that the bus essentially follows. This town is essentially under the underpass and is in this little valley below the main roadway. So you have to take it, go down and go under the bridge and that sort of thing. And he missed it. So, and the fun part was that his supervisor is there, and he was the one that was teaching him the route because the guy was pretty much brand new. He mastered stop bus, and that was about it. And he was standing up in the front of the bus, holding on for dear life, because there was a couple times I was certain I was going to watch this guy fly through the windshield. All right. That should give you an idea of, what I was dealing with here. He was up there texting someone, and he looks up and says, "No, wait, you got to take the exit here." Just as the bus goes right past it. So thankfully, this town, where it's situated in this little valley, it has really two entrances. One on either side of the town. So they went in on the other side, down, went around through town, did this kind of half-assed U-turn past the main bus stop down there, and went back up and through. And it put them way behind schedule, and the bus was running late to begin with. So there was a guy that I actually went to high school with that was getting on the bus that at the same stop I was getting off. And we said hi and everything. And later I get a message from him talking about how the bus was so late that he missed his transfer, and he was cussing up a storm. I just said, yeah, we kind of missed a town and had to go back. Sorry.
Kind of missed a town and had to go back.
Well, there was also the only in West Virginia moment that I had on the bus going to the store was that the bus was cut off by a coal truck. Hear the bus driver cussing up a storm, look up and just see the back end of this giant coal truck.
Too bad it's not a coal train.
I'll
get out myself.
Okay. I'll listen to Coltrane later.
So
what? Am I not allowed to like John Coltrane?
You are. You're allowed.
Because I do like my jazz.
I too.
No, that's an actual artist.
I know. I know these things. I'm not that uncultured.
Okay, but now
right.
We're at the point where the timestamp will jump in, so people can skip all our little meandering intro to the games we played. And as we talked about, 5 minutes ago, I have one, you have two, and I'm kicking off with Warframe, skipping the game that I did a little bit of pre-streaming testing and a little bit of goofing around with for a different one. So Warframe had its big update, Fortuna. And I have a set of bullet points here because I want to make sure I hit everything. Or at least for this time around, because I will be talking about Fortuna again because they split the patch for a good reason, and we'll get to that later. And I want to talk about the storyline, first of all. Warframe, it's not just a grinding mess. It does have a story, and the story for this update is fucking dark.
Okay.
This is a debt enslavement camp that you're essentially trying to help liberate from one of the major factions in the game. It's set on Venus, and kind of funny that we talked about terraforming beforehand, before we got into the show, because this debt internment camp is trying to repair some of the ancient terraforming technology that actually kind of worked a little too well on Venus and froze the planet. Yeah, I know.
All right.
So they're trying to repair it to be able to make it Earth-like, because Earth got fucked up in the Warframe universe. And pretty much every major character in the Fortuna update is in debt in one way or another. And it's a very, very, very dark storyline whenever you look into some of the lore, where people got into debt, so they had to get augments to their body. Everybody is cybernetic to one degree or another in Fortuna. And to be able to work a more high-paying job. But because they got their augments, it put them further into debt, so they have to get more augments to try to pay off the loan payments for the first set, and it just turns into a cycle. And that's not even getting into the people that inherited other people's debt. There was, in the ARG that was leading up to this, talking about a couple people that actually inherited their parents' debt when they were killed in an accident. And that's possible sarcasm quotes there. To the point where they got something called brain shelved, which is kind of the ultimate repo, where after a certain point, you're so much cybernetics, you become, well, to borrow a movie line, more machine than man. And whenever the corpus comes to repo, and there's not enough to keep you, alive, they'll brain shelve you, where they'll take your brain and, put it on a shelf and essentially hold you hostage for your family and friends to try to, make the minimum payments to get you out of cold storage. Fucking dark, huh?
That is very dark. It's very, dystopian sci-fi.
This is full-on cyberpunk. I mean, the main town, Fortuna itself, it looks cyberpunk. It has all the neon. It has everybody with cybernetics going around, and a rather earwormy chain gang song for the intro. I mean, it is dark as fuck, and I absolutely am amazed by the story by this. Yeah, the lure of it, and I want to know where they go with it.
Yeah,
and just talking about how the cycle going around where they're not able to do anything but the baseline payments, because the corpus are essentially, it's kind of ties into my state's history where the coal mines here would, get people into debt themselves here and just, essentially turn them into a legalized form of slaves. The debt, the wage slaves. That's exactly what's happening here. And it's just done really well. And, well, for the gameplay overall, they've added a lot of option to this to be able to progress through the main, factions. There's 3 in this expansion. There's the Solaris United, which is essentially the main town, and all your vendors are tied to it. There's the Vox Solaris, which is the people's the underground resistance, which also happens to contain most of the people in the town, but the corpus doesn't know that. And then there's the Vent Kids, which is tied into the new mode of transit in this update, which I think you would really enjoy if you got around to playing it. Hoverboards.
Are these the, I was going to say, are these the hoverboards you mentioned yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, they're all very British sounding. Talking about leverage, getting the leverage on the corpus.
Yeah.
And the Vent Kids are just hilarious. A matter of fact, the top rank for the Vent Kids faction is called Logical.
Nice.
They just made up a bunch of weird phrases for them, which sounds very skate punk, cyberpunk-ish. So, yeah, it really ties in really nicely. I'm actually very impressed with how they handled this. Which, Warframe may be my blind spot. I don't know. I will admit that it is still grindy as hell, but because they added options to the grind, that you're able to kind of parse out where you put your focus. And they also went in and changed a lot of things. For example, they changed how pets work. In the game beforehand, you had sentinels, which are essentially just robotic companions that would hover over your shoulder, and you had kubros, which were dogs, and kavits, which were cats. And honestly, the kubros and the kavits were not exactly very useful because they lacked a loot pickup mechanic that the sentinels had. And also, there was a lot more useful mods for the sentinels than there were the kubros and the kavits. Well, in this expansion, they balanced that out. They added a loot pickup mechanic for the non-robotic pets, is what they are calling them now. And they added a lot of different mods to be able to make them a lot more useful. And I'm seeing a lot more people use the biological pets, which before, they did a rundown of all the companions people were using in one of the dev streams. It was like all the sentinels, and then they started getting to like the most popular kubros, which was just they were very upset at how it was shaking down, and they wanted to change it, and they did, and it was for the best. And they also added a new set of pets, or a new pet type, I should say, boas, which is their first modular pet. They've had modular weapons before, called Zaws in the first major open world expansion. In this, there's 2 modular systems. There's kit guns and the boa pets, which work kind of the same way, where each of the vendors, Legs, which is this pretty much full cybernetic guy that was actually repoed in the opening storyline, and they actually ripped his legs or ripped his arms off, so he's just a pair of he has a pair of legs and that's it.
Okay.
And I'm blanking on the other woman that sells the kit guns, her name, but she's her cybernetics is kind of fried, so she's actually hearing voices, and it's coming off a little schizophrenic. The characters are a lot more colorful this time around. And there's actually one character that I think is probably the most interesting one in the bunch, both function and what they may be, which we'll get to in a little bit. But both these vendors follow essentially the same method, where the MOAs and the kit guns have different parts which modify how the component or how the requisite completed object works. So, for example, the kit guns, there's 4 different barrels, which sets the type of gun, whether it's a giant laser, a semi-automatic machine pistol, essentially a flamethrower, for lack of a better term, or I should say a more generalized term, because I know exactly what it is, but saying arcoplasmor is pretty useless to you. And you're able to build out the weapon or pet for how you exactly want it. So for the MOAs, you're able to set it if it's more offensive or defensive, or a more utility pet, be able to set up the different stats and tweak them a little bit. And it's a very in-depth system that offers itself to a lot of min-maxing if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty. But if you're really caring about what's the best, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 different kit guns that are considered the best. And then there's going to be probably 1 for each type of the MOAs, which they are talking about adding in more parts for both systems. So the fact that they're continuously adding to that is an interesting thing to make it so that it's not stagnant. But it offers a lot of personalization, and it's a resource sink, which the game has severely needed for quite a while. But it's also very easy to get the newer resources because of the changes that they did to mining and fishing. You remember the mining in the first expansion, right? You did some of that, right?
No, I never did. But, I mean, I saw it. You talked about it, and I've seen it.
Yeah, where...
I haven't played Warframe in forever.
Yeah, like a year and a half or 2 years now?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, originally, whenever you went up to a mining node in the first open world expansion, you saw an outline that you just kind of just traced the mining laser around it, and, that was it. You're done. Well, they changed that because they had a problem where the mining nodes would sometimes spawn in odd spots on the world geometry. And if you're looking at it the wrong way, you could either not see part of the outline, have the outline be distorted because you're looking at it whenever it's going over like a little lip in the rock, or just not be able to do it at all. So they changed it to a hotpoint system where each node has between 1 and 3 points that you click and hold on. And essentially it's heating up the rock to break it loose. And it's also a lot faster most of the time. If you're getting one with 3 points, it's usually a bit longer, but it's more consistent, which is something that I like. And they also changed it where there's not as many different lasers this time. In the first expansion, there was 3 different mining lasers. There was 3 different fishing spears, and each mining laser was a direct upgrade to the previous one, but you had to get all of them, so it was a needless reputation sink. This time around, there's 1 mining laser and there's 2 spears, and the fishing spears this time around aren't interchangeable depending on what you're fishing up. In Venus, as part of the old terraforming tech, they released robotic fish to essentially just help maintain the underwater mechanics. Well, because people are so in debt and are so destitute, they're taking some of the extra fish that are out there because they self-reproduce, because of course they do, right? And they strip them down for parts. Well, this time around, instead of having 3 different spears for different fish, and one spear is good against fish that have a hard shell. One is good against tough scales, which is completely different from hard shells, by the way. This time there's one spear, and then there's one that's a direct upgrade to it, and that's it. And you could actually skip the first one if you so choose. You're also able to go in with the old fishing stuff, but if you skip the all the new fishing stuff and just use the old, you damage the fish because you're actually harpooning them instead of doing the EMP pulse like the new ones do. So it makes sense, but it's a more condensed version of what they did with the fishing mechanics and the mining mechanics of the previous expansion, which for once is for the better, because usually I don't like it when they overly simplify things, but it makes a lot more sense because there was a lot of times that, trying to figure out what spear to use, was guesswork at best. So it was a needless complexity that added really nothing to the mechanic. And and the upgraded spear, what it does is that whenever it sends out the EMP pulse, it will stun nearby fish. So there's a chance that if something else gets caught in the EMP pulse, it makes it a lot easier to hit. So you could chain them together. Which for the fishing, where sometimes there's a very small window of opportunity to catch the particular fish that you want, because instead of a day-night cycle, because Venus is pretty much tidally locked to the sun. It's close to a year for a full day. Well, tidally locked is the improper term, but it has a very slow rotational period. So instead of doing a real-time day-night cycle, they just had a weather period where sometimes it's slightly warmer and sometimes it's slightly cooler, or sometimes it's very cold. And different fish show up at different times. So that's where the mechanic comes in of being able to grab a lot of fish. Let's see, what else? The new mechanic that they added in, or the new minigame, I guess I should say. Well, there's two. There's the K-Drive, which is essentially Back to the Future hoverboards. And no, I'm not talking about wussy, stand on and, you roll around on wheels. This is full on Back to the Future hoverboards. With a jet set radio-like trick system added in to actually grind up the rep. This time quite literally, because you're grinding on pipes, you're doing flips and tricks, and the K-Drives are moddable because they're full-on vehicles. And one of the mods I have, for example, whenever you dismount, instead of just desmounting, the K-Drive will just drive off. Pretty much all the time it does that. But if you have a mod on it, it can actually do damage to enemies that it hits. So I've taken up essentially bowling. Come up behind something that doesn't see me coming, dismount, and just bowl something over, and either kills it outright or just really damages it, which is always amusing. But the Vent Kids rep that's tied to is really easy to grind up. It's just, it can be passive if you really want it to be, but I gotta be honest that the K-Drives, they're both the best and the worst part of this expansion because they don't make a lot of sense. Or Palouse, which is the open world, what the open world is called, is a very mountainous region. And you have access to the previous vehicle. Well, I should say the ability to use the vehicle they had before, the Arcwing, which is flying in a mountainous area compared to a hoverboard. The hoverboard does still have its place, of course, but it's not as useful as I think they would have expected it to be. Maybe once you hit max rank, which I'm not quite there yet. I think I'm about 4 or 5 days away from maxing out on both of the Solaris United and the Vent Kids reps. that once you fully mod out the K drive, it's a lot more useful. But honestly, just see it as either goofing around or for short range transportation. It's not going all the way across the map. It's far too slow for that. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun, actually. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get get the hang of it, it's a hell of a ride. And the other kind of minigame that they added is hunting. Oh, okay. Technically not hunting, more conserving. Because you're using a tranquilizer rifle and you're trying to save endangered species from being eradicated by the corpus. And it's a full-blown minigame where you start off by finding leavings from the various animals. Yes, you're finding poop.
Sweet.
No, poop. And then you follow the tracks to essentially a nest area. And different animals have different lures, and you have to kind of figure out exactly how the animal call is made. And it's an odd mechanic where the pitch of the mating call is dictated by how far up and down you're looking. So think of it as like a trombone,
Okay.
And sometimes they'll reply, and you have to answer them. Thankfully, they show the proper area to be able to reply on the meter itself in game, and you don't have to do it by ear. Otherwise, that would be horrendous. But anyway, after you track to their nest and then you do the mating call, the animal shows up and you have to tranquilize them. Which is a trank gun that you're given, or that you could, you're not given, you buy it, but it's pretty cheap. But it's another way to build up your reputation. And that between that, the mining, which is also reputation for gems, debt bonds, which I haven't gotten to yet, doing bounties, which is a lot easier to do since they put in a way to start other bounties without going back into town itself. There's a lot of options here, and that's made the grind feel less, grindy. Oh, and I should say that the hunting mechanic, I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't spent enough time on it because you pretty much have to have a dedicated stealth warframe to be able to do them, because they get spooked. Because they're endangered species. Of course, they're going to be spooked, right? If you capture 5 of them, you could trade in the tags that you're given for floofs, which is stuffed animals.
Okay.
That you can put in your landing craft as cosmetics. And people have gone fucking insane with these. This is the screenshot I sent you. Remember the one with the council of floofs?
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's the reward for hunting. Nice. And it's pretty grindable.
I'm all about that.
It's pretty easy to do. And it's a pretty decent reputation as well, if I recall correctly. And also it depends on how well you do it, because if you do a perfect one where they don't get spooked at all, you get a lot more depending on if you startled them and they start running off and you're just tagging them as they're running. But depending on the species, you have a chance to get 2 or 3 captures in one go. So it's pretty easy to get the floofs if you dedicate a little bit of time to it, but I just haven't dedicated the time to it. I just got kind of gotten my feet wet with the hunting. But yeah, people have gone insane with stuffed animal hunting. And they're adding more, of course, because that's the thing, is that this update, this is part 1 of the update. They've purposely split this update into 2 parts to partly, get it out a little bit sooner and to be able to polish the base systems before throwing in the big boss fights. And also to, not have the grind be so crazy where you're having to grind up to get a particular thing to be able to get the boss fights, if the previous open world expansion is anything to go by, because there are certain giant spider-like enemies that are the size of houses. I sent you a screenshot of that as well, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, these are big son of bitches. And they're completely invulnerable right now, so, yeah, there's going to be, like, some mechanic that makes them vulnerable or something that you get through one of the reputations or something like that that will make them killable, but they're not killable yet. That's going to be part 2, as well as advancing the storyline. But, yeah, it's a very, very interesting way to do the update, where they've split it like this. But it also shows that they learned a lot of lessons from the previous open world expansion, the Plains of Alaris. Because, having the fishing be both simplified and not, because they also changed the mechanic of how it works. It's not just an instant catch. You have to do a little bit of a timing thing there as well, like they have in the mining. Have it where the mining laser also, there's only one of them, and it's a direct upgrade, so, you could skip all the previous grinding on that. They've definitely shown, they've done their homework. They've improved a lot of systems. And speaking of improving systems, I haven't talked about Ticker yet. Ticker is, to me, the most interesting character in this. All right? A masculine voice, but she constantly refers to herself as she. So either her voice module is malfunctioning, all right? She couldn't afford a female voice, which is a possibility. Or we're talking a full-on transgendered character here as a primary, not quest giver, but a primary character, which is, really interesting. And I'm pretty sure this character is also a big David Bowie reference, because she's constantly calling you Stardust. And talking about herself in the third person. And is very flamboyant. Which is, another thing that makes me kind of lean towards the more transgendered route. But Ticker is also a very important NPC, because she is also a big resource sink. The problem with a looter shooter is that eventually you have too much loot. I think that's a fair thing to say, right?
Yeah.
Especially resources, where the very basic resources, you're eventually going to have so much of it that you just don't care anymore. Oh, I got scrap metal. I got I'm trying to think of another very basic material now, and they're so basic now that I don't care anymore that they show up. Well, Ticker has the debt bonds, which are can be turned in for rep as well, but they're also what you get in the bounties that's required to level up to the next tier of the reputation, of the central reputation, I should say. Is these debt bonds, and there's 5 different types. Well, Ticker has debts that show up in her inventory, essentially just randomized, little NPCs that it gives you a little bit of history of, and you're able to buy these debt bonds, but also sink some of these, absolutely absurd amount of back resources into, to be able to, burn some of this massive catalog that you have, to skip some of the grind. Once again, making a very grindy game slightly less grindy, and also giving a way for the veterans of the game to get past the opening sequence, so you can get to the more challenging bits a lot sooner. Because the way the debt bonds are set up, you have to essentially go through the bounties in sequence. The very lowest tier has the debt bonds that you need to get up to rank 2. The rank 2 bounties has enough debt bonds, or the type of debt bonds to get up to rank 3, and so on. So it shows that they understand that there's a lot of resources that need to be spent that just can't be spent, but also there needs to be a way to shortcut without just having mining or fishing carry the entire weight of it. So having a secondary way to get past the randomness that bounties have, especially since they made the debt bonds themselves a part of the reward table, so otherwise you would be relying on the RNG itself as a shortcut for veterans, but also a way to kind of smooth out bad luck. So Ticker is a very, very interesting character in that, and like I said, both regards, both the character herself and also just the function that she serves. And I think that's all my bullet points. I didn't talk about the open world itself. They did drop the randomized incursions that they called them on the planes, where if you're on the open world, it just pops up a mission that you could accept for an additional thing. Instead, they just allowed you to pick up another bounty and go off on another chain of missions instead, which is nice. They added a couple more varieties of mission types. They added a spy mission, which I have to say is my least favorite out of their group, but it's mostly because I don't do sneaky stabby stuff. I'm more in your face and shoot you with a goddamn shotgun, right?
Yeah, you tend to, if you still play the same way you used to, get all up in their face.
Yeah, I'm the more tanky type, so yeah. So the spy missions obviously wouldn't be my favorite, but I do understand that people do enjoy them. There's missions where you have to protect excavators. That's a baseline mission as well, but it's a lot more interesting because you have to protect two at once. So it's not quite as a point defense system as it was before. It requires a lot more fluid movement and a lot more on your feet defensive posturing. Oh, and all the bounties also have a bonus objective. Well, that's something I forgot to mention. Where, as you do the bounties, the first bounty on the reset, and the resets are like 2 hours long, will give reputation. And if you replay them, you're just playing them for the loot. But each bounty also has a bonus objective for each of the missions. So let's say, I get a mission that requires me to loot so much credits, the baseline money of the game, which is one of the new mission types as well. Well, if I meet the bonus objective, which is, I think for that one, it's just, get the total amount of credits before the timer runs out. Otherwise, it just says, we got enough to be able to get the guy that we're trying to scare out of hiding and blah, blah, blah. It gives you a bonus objective, which gives you more reputation. And if you get all the bonus objectives on the entire quest chain, you get a bigger bonus objective at the end, or a bonus to your rep. But also you get a secondary pull from the entire loot table. Once again, okay, they're adding more randomness to it, but more pulls from the same table kind of evens out bad luck. So you can see, where they've definitely learned that, they need to try to even out some of the randomness of the game by adding more randomness, right?
Yep. Sounds like Hearthstone.
Yeah, but
let's fix the randomness with more randomness.
Yeah, but I don't have to sell a kidney to enjoy myself. So there is that.
Fair play.
But yeah, overall, I've been really enjoying myself. Getting the Vent Kids rep is 15, 20 minutes of just grinding back and forth on a couple pipes. And it's also given me a chance to really get a feel for how the K-drives work. So it is technically grinding on a grind, but it's also, a good learning experience for it. But I think they really meant that to be a more passive reputation. You just do a couple tricks as you're going to the next objective. But honestly, most people just use the Arcwing, so it feels a little bit wasteful unless you're just doing it as a goof when you're solo. The main faction, as just because there's so many options, I don't have to do all the bounties in order to have enough rep to meet my cap for the day, which that is something that all the reputations in the game, no matter new or old, have a certain amount of reputation that you can gain per day, and it's tied to your overall account level, your mastery level. So veterans are able to play a lot more and get a little bit more progression, but they're also the ones that are able to get into the late game stuff to be able to actually progress. So, it's kind of a balance there, huh?
Yeah.
But this also has the side problem that the first expansion had, where it's a kind of a side route to the main progression list, where you get to Fortuna actually pretty damn early. It's not nearly as early as the first expansion, but it's pretty damn close. Yeah, I would say the first couple hours you'd be able to access it. But outside of Fortuna, at least for now, once again, we still have part 2 coming up, so who knows what they do there. Everything is kind of self-contained, which was a problem in the previous expansion, but now it's not so much in the previous expansion, because a lot of the things from there could also be used in the new expansion. So, maybe as they do all these open world expansions, it's going to be kind of a little bit of a side game, or a little bit of a side area to play in as well, where they kind of all interconnected to their own progression chain. So maybe it's a little, it feels almost like it's criticizing a system that's not fully implemented yet. I mean, granted, I'll still criticize it that, all the mining stuff is pretty much just rip or the dedicated items in that area. And if you're wanting to do, build all the Warframes or all the weapons or whatever, going to mine does nothing for you, because you need different resources. So that is a problem. I would like to see a character like Ticker in one of the more generalized areas that allows trading resource for resource. Especially some of the Plains resources and some of the Fortuna resources, where you're able to get some of the resources that are in these dedicated little offshoots, offshoots from the progression list. And sorry, my voice is starting to get a little bit off, because I've been talking for nearly an hour now.
Mm-hmm. You have, indeed.
But be able to take some of these cut off resources and bring them into the more generalized stuff, particularly with some of the more difficult to get resources. The argon crystals, which are have a decay mechanic built into them, so you can't stockpile them. Some of the more other rare resources like oxium, that sort of thing, where it's tougher to get. It's not impossible to stockpile, but it's tougher to have a big stockpile of. That's a mechanic I'd like to see. I'd like to see, since the K drives aren't quite as crazy as the Arcwings, be able to use them in the non-open world areas, because there's some maps that it would actually make use of, because there's a big enough open area. And hell, even some of the corridor shooter areas, be able to tear down that in a K drive would be hilarious. So I do have criticisms of it, but it feels like they're very minor, and I've been really enjoying myself with this expansion. Any questions? I think I've covered all my bullet points.
Nope. I think that you have covered quite a bit.
Hey, look at it this way. It'll be really good for whenever you talk to your patients that play Warframe. Because now you know what. Yeah. Now you know at least a fair bit about Fortuna.
Yeah, I do.
Only thing I really can't.
A couple of clients who do play Warframe.
Only thing I really can't talk about is the kick guns, because I haven't really dove into that system yet. But that's really, if you don't min max, it's what you feel like. Do you want something that's full on crit? Do you want something that's full on status chance, or do you want something in between? And same aspect for reload speed. Do you want something that hits harder, or do you want something that reloads faster or has a bigger clip, or something in between? Do you want to give up a little bit of damage to be able to reload slightly faster? Well, you have an option for that. And speaking of options,
sure. Does that mean it's my turn? That's not like a
wake up.
That's not like the best segue ever. the Hearthstone comment would have been a better segue into my first game, which is a CCG, much as Hearthstone is. Shadowverse CCG. So Shadowverse has been around for a couple of years now. I don't know if it started off as a mobile game or if it has since become a mobile game and that's sort of taken over like the interface. I mean, on PC it does say click, but whenever you click, you get one of those little sort of flourishes like when you would tap a screen on a phone or a tablet to let you know where your finger actually landed.
Oh yeah, tap that.
Yeah. But, I mean, so comparing it to Hearthstone just in terms of gameplay mechanics, the way that it plays is it's a direct copy or ripoff of Hearthstone. The cards are essentially laid out the same. A lot of the mechanics are exactly the same. They just might have a slightly different name. But where this game shines over Hearthstone is that it is nowhere near as random. There are a few cards that I've seen so far that have very small random effects, but there's nothing to the extent of like you play this card and you could get something absolutely useless or you could get something that wins the game. I haven't seen anything like that. There are some cards that I've seen in the meta that are probably a little OP, but not in the sense of like I'm going to play this 2-cost card and it might give me something that wins. They're cards that you have to set up. Like there are several cards that are like sacrifice play. So you have like 4 or 5 minions in play, and like you play this card and it like eats up all of the minions and it gets like super powered if you've got enough on the board. But it's kind of risky, like, you know, can you keep enough minions on the board that long? Do you play a bunch of weak ones to make it happen, or do you eat up a bunch of strong cards? So depending on how you set it up, it could be more OP or not. Now there are shitloads of cards in this game and lots of heroes. There are 10 base heroes. There are multiple sort of purchasable heroes. You can purchase them with in-game currency, which you can earn very slowly over time. But, of course, where they want you to spend money is card packs. I haven't completed all of the single-player yet. In fact, I haven't even completed a single-player campaign. Each of the main characters, so, you know, the 10 main characters each have a full-blown single-player campaign that, by the end of it, rewards you with a bunch of stuff for that particular hero. So, lots of card packs for them. You get their entire base deck. And then you earn a bunch of general currency that you can spend on random card packs. And so far they each have at least a half a dozen missions or half a dozen battles. There are a couple that I've played a little bit farther, but I'm on like mission or quest, whatever you want to call it, 11 or 12. They all start out fairly easy. The first 2 or 3 effectively could be used as a tutorial, but after that they ramp up in difficulty. You'll get occasional spikes that are, you know, boss battle fights that are pretty tough. But so far, at least on the single player campaign, I haven't really felt the need to buy anything extra beyond what the game gives me. For the most part, honestly, like the basic default deck can get you most of the way through. It took me until mission 10 on the very first like character that you unlock before I actually went in and customized the deck, because the deck was pretty well balanced against the enemies that I was facing. You know, I haven't gone through all of them. That might get broken later on, but for what I've played so far for the first about 6 hours or so, it's all felt fairly well balanced. It does do the thing that Hearthstone does, where you've got like an unlimited mode where you can use all the cards. It's also got like its tournament meta where only certain things are allowed. I haven't really dipped my toes in that yet. There's just so many different heroes and play styles and different card types that I want to get through all of the single player stuff first before I even consider multiplayer, just because I won't know what I'm getting into with all the cards. But in general, I mean, I feel like it's a very fair game. So far, the art style is really beautiful. It's much more anime than anything else. But they do some some anime boobs and things like that, but they also do like some more traditional, more tasteful anime. They've got some more sort of over the top anime. They play to the different anime tropes, and there are actually fully animated scenes. A lot of it plays out sort of visual novel style, but for boss battles and at the start of every campaign and maybe at the end, I'm not sure because I haven't gone through any of them, but occasionally in between, you'll get an animated scene, something in the neighborhood of 2 or 3 minutes long. They're very competently drawn and voice acted, and the music is nice. The sort of table designs are nice. They lack the interactivity element that Hearthstone does, but they're very well put together. They're themed very well, like around the battles that you're fighting and the characters that you're interacting with. So all in all, it's a very well designed game. There's still the chance that I could discover once I'm a little bit farther in, maybe halfway through, or really if I dive into playing with other people, that it turns out that the game is much more unbalanced than I thought. But at least for the single player portion, which if you like CCGs and you have always liked the Hearthstone like adventures that they've done, these are very well put together single player adventures. And since the game is free, if you're looking for a CCG that's not Hearthstone with some additional single player content that you can enjoy, Shadowverse is a pretty good game to get into. I genuinely like it better than Hearthstone, primarily because it's a lot less random, which is nice. Like, the randomness can be fun and silly, but whenever you lose a game because someone draws
the I win card,
like miraculous, do what?
The I win card.
Yeah, whenever you lose a game, no matter how good you're doing, because someone draws the I win card, it feels really cheap and shitty. And so far, like as far as I can tell, there's not one of those in this. So overall, Shadowverse is a good game. I quite enjoy it. It runs on a potato. It'll run on my laptop, like no problem. It's also, designed for mobile. It's got that thing where you can link accounts if you want to play it across multiple devices. Keep your progress synced up. It doesn't do it via Facebook. You create an account, but otherwise it just uses your Steam login across multiple PCs. So, and I would say that it's got a pretty decent multiplayer population. There's a few. Let's see. Right now on Steam, there's 2,088 people playing. But it's got cross-platform multiplayer, so you'd be interacting with everyone on their mobile devices as well.
Yeah, I actually went to look at various numbers, and they're just over 200. So that's rather sad.
Yeah, because I know how much you like Faria.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they kind of turned on me.
Yeah. But, anyways, yeah, it's good. I like it. So, that's Shadowverse. Definitely nowhere near as much between my two games compared to what you did for Warframe, I have to say. Because Train Simulator 12, very old train simulation game. It sucks. Big old, hairy, shitty dicks. But it's a train game, and my kid saw it, and he likes it because it's a train game. So I kind of have gotten roped into playing this much more than I would. The biggest problem that I have with it, the two biggest problems that I have with it. Number one, it runs like garbage. It just absolute garbage. Can't even maintain, for the most part, 30 FPS.
That's just sad.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do with the settings, which there are very few settings to actually play with. My guess is it's just very poorly optimized. And then it's very clunky to control. Which, honestly, I think I could forgive the clunkiness if it wasn't freezing every 10 seconds whenever I tried to interact with it and do something. There's a lot here. There are some pretty good creation tools. There's a ton of mod support for this game. There are tons and tons of free train packs and other vehicle packs and sort of sandbox you can go and play in and create very complicated train layouts. And that's pretty cool, but it runs like ass. So it's not fun to play because I just am constantly frustrated. And my kid's like, "Wow, look at that! Let's go drive the coal train." It's like, okay, we'll go drive the coal train. Wow, let's go drive the passenger train. All right, we'll go drive the passenger train. We'll just wait, 30 seconds for the game to decide what it wants to do.
Derailment.
You can do that. It's fun to crash trains into each other for like once. It takes like an hour to set it up because of how terrible everything runs. But
and then you get to go full Gomez Adams.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's like any of these other train simulator games. If you've ever played it, like there's a dozen or so pre-built scenarios and routes that you can run that have various rules that you have to follow. You can go to a sandbox mode for each level, which lets you like drop in trains at will and drive them around. Or you can just completely go and create a new map. But it's bad. It's real bad. Supposedly it's got multiplayer, but that's completely non-functioning and offline. They advertise it on the main store page, but every time I've looked at it, there's never been any way to connect to the games.
It's a Throne of Lies.
Yeah. So, I mean, and even if it did still work, I would imagine it's terrible. And I only have the base game. I don't have all $148 worth of DLC for this thing.
148? Amateur hour.
I know. There's other train games that have way more DLC.
And actually run better.
Train Sim World? Train Sim World has got like, last time I checked, $300 worth of DLC. But
300? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I think this is no. I need to make sure I have the right one.
Train Simulator is the one that's...
Yeah, Train Simulator 2019.
Yeah, they just up...
But
oh, God, sweet mother of God.
You never seen this?
I haven't seen its new total. Last time I looked at it, it only had like $1,900 worth of DLC. It's up to almost $8,500 if you wanted to buy everything for Train Simulator 2019. Which was, when I bought it, I think it was Train Simulator 2015.
Yeah, but you get
they just like change...
They update it, but they also give you the new version.
Yeah.
But, with all the DLC, can't blame you, right? Or blame them, right?
Yeah. I've got some of the DLC. I think whenever I purchased it, it was all part of like a bundle. I have like, I think $100 worth of DLC for this game. I don't know how much I paid for it. Not $100.
Does the DLC transfer over to the new versions?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, well that's nice.
Every once in a while, I reinstall this, and King and I will play it.
Try to get them on a good train simulator.
Yeah.
No, I want to play the bad one.
Yeah, he really wants to play the bad one, and it really sucks. There's apparently a more modern version of this Trains. It's Trains with a Z, so it's cool, right?
Yeah, it's Extreme Trains.
It's edgy.
There's
a more modern one.
If you go so fast, you're able to do multi-track drifting.
But, yeah, there's a more modern one apparently, but it looks like it sucks too based on reviews and stuff for it, so... I don't know. Maybe someday I might buy it if it's ever really cheap. But these very rarely actually get cheap. Because it's like the hardcore audience that wants it will pay whatever.
Will pay $8,500.
Yeah.
Well, which it makes me wonder what the percentage of the user base of this has a good majority of this DLC, because I've always assumed and heard people talk about it's more piecemeal. So, if you like a particular train or a particular route, you get, the $15, $20 add-on, or you get the scenarios, which are $5 to $10 a pop. or the scenario packs,
Yeah.
I should say. And it's that instead of buying $8,500 worth of DLC.
Yeah. Or it could
Which
be
makes it
one
a
of
lot
those
more
things that
reasonable
you-
to me.
Yeah. I mean, I would do that. I have thought about buying some more Steam trains for Train Simulator 2019. But I never have. We don't play it enough. But yeah, those are the 2 games that I played this week, and all I have to say about them.
That's all I gotta say about that.
That's all I've got to say about that. Forrest Gump. I should watch that movie. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I say that every time it comes up, and I haven't watched it yet.
Well, if you want to save yourself the time, just go listen to the Weird Al song.
I'm thinking about the song now, the piano song. Oh,
to Superhero?
No, the one that follows the feather in the actual movie. That's playing in my head right now.
Oh, see, I thought we were talking about Weird Al still, and he did a cover of Piano Man, which covered the original Spider-Man movie. Or I should say the original Spider-Man, first movie out of the Spider-Man trilogy. Boy, talking about Spider-Man movies is a little depressing right now, but also very confusing.
Yeah, it's complicated. All right, well, that's it for games we played this week. Are you ready to move on to our other topics?
I think so. I hope my throat's all right with this. Maybe I should go grab a mug of tea.
Indeed. Moving right along after our break, and however I edit us coming back and discussing some things, because there's a little bit of Franken talk in there too. Gonna be discussing Telltale Games. What we decided to title Fire Sale Episode 3, Return of the Walking Dead. Continuation of the Telltale Games saga. So we've got 2 little topics here that we've sort of wrapped into one, because they're both related to Telltale's ongoing
Tail.
ongoing saga as it reaches the final chapters of its own story.
Yeah. The question is, does the game industry remember this? Come on, I'm not the only one that made that joke.
Probably not, but that's the first time I've heard it, so you get a genuine laugh for that. But anyways, the first article was titled Telltale Undergoing Liquidation, Removing Games from Steam.
Which a little late.
GamesIndustry.biz article.
Yeah, which a little late now because they're gone. The store.
How old is this article from?
Well, this was going out. This was from last Thursday.
Okay.
The 15th. So yeah, by the time the episode comes out, this would be slightly over a week old. But yeah, people were noticing that the games were no longer being offered on sale.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, what this article is saying is that they're like finalizing their shutdown, asking people, I assume companies, I guess. It says anyone who may have a claim against Telltale. But not 100% sure what those claims could be. But basically, they have a deadline of April 9th of next year to make their claim against Telltale.
Maybe it's
Otherwise,
referring to the lawsuit?
Maybe. But anyways, the studio's shutting down, they're liquidating assets, and there have been some games that are disappearing off of Steam. Seems like they're older, air quotes, older titles are being pulled down. The ones that are gone, Back to the Future and Tales of Monkey Island. Are there other ones that have disappeared since then?
Well, let's go. Let's go
of?
hunting. Let's see. Game of Thrones. A Telltale game. It is. Well, so I gotta go through the age check. Yes, I'll show my ID. It's still for sale.
I would say that they're bigger titles, air quotes, bigger titles are still going to be for sale. I just typed in Telltale, so let's see. We've got the Batman stuff.
Well, you have to make sure that
to
make sure that's actually for sale, because that's the thing is that you could see the store page for like Back to the Future.
These will have prices on them, so I assume that you can purchase them.
Actually, if I search Back to the Future, I can't find the store page. But if I go to my library, I'm able to see the store page. So,
see Tales from the Borderlands, Wolf Among Us. Looks like the Telltale Collection is still available for purchase. Poker Night at the Inventory is still up there.
But not the second one. Remember, they made 2.
Yeah, I know.
But that was pulled before the whole announcement went down. So that was the herald of things to come.
Sam and Max individually are still up
there. Yeah, it's so sad that they never continue with Sam and Max. I really like that series. But, that was more during their point-and-click era. It makes me wonder if they would have fared better in the long run if they continued with point-and-click. That would be an interesting, just general discussion. What would have happened if Telltale never became, the Telltale, Because we kept talking about how it became a very formulaic system. And point and click, of course, also has its formula, but it's naturally more varied because it's set around that particular universe or that particular theme of the game. While Telltale's formula for their storytelling basically became just copy and paste towards the end. Do you think they would have had a more long-lasting success if they never did The Walking Dead and they stuck with point and click? So they remained a smaller company, but they never went full balloon and just inflated too fast. It's an interesting thought experiment, huh? Because The Walking Dead was really, both their success and downfall.
I don't know. Possibly, but point and clicks are nowhere near as popular as they were 10, 20 years ago.
True, but so is the Telltale style of gameplay. The only game I'm really seeing a lot of press about is Life is Strange, that now series. Even though I'm a little concerned that they're going to fall down the Telltale path where it becomes derivative, but so far it doesn't seem like they're doing that. And then there's a couple others. I've seen The Council, which is similar, or a similar idea, but not quite the same. And that's one I've seen a lot of buzz about. But more narrative-driven, very limited gameplay. Yeah, it's also fallen off favor.
You can no longer... Speaking of The Walking Dead, you cannot purchase the Telltale Walking Dead games on Steam. They're gone. At least not that I can find. Looks like the TV show's on there, but that's the only thing that's coming up for the seasons. There's a couple of other Walking Dead games, but not Telltale's games.
It's kind of funny. I type in Walking Dead. For me, I'm not sure whether it would be for you. It's Overkill's The Walking Dead, which has a mixed reception. The Walking Dead, the final season. So I'm able to see the final season. But
it doesn't have a price on it, does it?
No, it doesn't have a price. So that's the demo.
It's just the demo.
Yeah, okay. I had to click on it to double check. The Walking Dead, which that's the first person shooter? Oh, no, that's the actual show. All right. It's a little...
There's the Escapists, The Walking Dead.
No, before that, on my screen, RimWorld.
Yeah. RimWorld's right after that on mine.
Well, maybe it's just because I have a few 100 hours in it.
Perhaps.
But
so that's interesting. The Telltale's Walking Dead games are unpurchasable.
For now.
Although maybe with them being like so much in the limelight, they had the contract pulled or some kind of something evoked to pull them down.
Well, it sounds like Telltale's contracts are what's known in the industry as a clusterfuck of clauses that make absolutely no sense. If they got fined severely for a leak that was beyond their control, So
Yeah.
that violated their non-disclosure agreement. So it wouldn't surprise me that there was some sort of escape clause or some sort of final clause that if the company goes under, that was just utter stupidity. Which is a shame on Telltale, just how things came down, because they did have good games. It's just after a while they kind of wore thin, and they also seem to really target very niche audiences. That's also another interesting thought experiment. What if they ever went with their own IP, where they didn't have to pay all the licensing fees and had to be beholden to the suits in the studios, if they were able to do their own thing?
Yeah, but that would have taken too much effort.
Yeah, true. Would have required a second writer. It would have required a writer that isn't just copy-paste script.
Speaking of The Walking Dead, though, that's a good segue to sort of the second part of this, which is Skybound gives its update on The Walking Dead, the final season. The gist of this article is that Skybound, or Skybound Games, the people who bought the rights or received the rights, or clusterfuck of clauses, how this exactly worked out.
Wasn't this a company that is in contact with the original rights holder?
I think they're the same company that owns the rights to the comic books. I think. So, yeah. I think they're the original rights holders of the stuff from the comic books or the graphic novels, or however you want to look at that. But anyways, what they did was they came out and said that they'd hired a whole bunch of the devs from Telltale that were working on the game to come in and basically finish it, at least what was already in production. They've stated that if you purchase a season pass or something like that, you're going to be able to get it from your original download location. Otherwise, you can get it separately if you're buying them one episode at a time.
The worst part about this is they're talking about how you may not be able to back purchase the previous seasons.
Yeah.
That's a little troubling because it's an overarching story.
Yeah. I have mine's all spread out with the ones that I have. I have season 1 on Xbox and I've got season 2 on Steam. I don't have any of the little in-between episodes. Although, I don't really give a shit about finishing the story anyways. The first one was the only one that I really liked.
I only have the first one, and I have 400 Days, which I think I won somewhere, actually. I didn't buy that. I honestly never finished the first season. I really stopped caring. It just didn't click for me.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first season. The second season, though, lost me. It wasn't as well put together. In my opinion.
Just poor story or story points.
Yeah, poor storytelling. I felt like didn't honor the spirit of where the first game was going, where it ended. I felt like they just
well, go ahead and spoil it because I know the ending of the first season.
So yeah, the ending of the first season, you sort of make that final choice, and based on how things turned out, Clementine remembers that and she leaves, and then a couple of years have passed. And Clementine has, I think what they were going for is she's had to grow up very fast in this hard world. But instead of being the sort of kind-hearted person she was before, but with just a more gruff exterior, it's she's a 9-year-old badass. And it's no, this is not the story that I wanted you to tell. And the characters in the second game are nowhere near as good as they were in the first. There are a couple of characters that come over from the first game into the second one, but it seems like they completely ignore any choices that you made, despite the fact that it pulls save game info from your first one if you've got them on the same platform or have it connected through Telltale's whatever it was. So they just didn't I don't feel like they honored the characters. And where the second game ends up is Clementine is once again alone. But there's two choices, either you could take her to a place where that a new sort of city that's forming, and you can have her go into that city, or you can have her leave and be with one of the characters from the other game.
Well, of course, it doesn't make her look a difference, right?
But it doesn't matter, yeah. Like, apparently that didn't carry forward at all into Season 3, so just, like, it wasn't
Well, there was a giant time skip between Season 2 and Season 3, isn't there?
Yeah, she's like a teenager in Season 3, so, like, 4, 5, 6 years, somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly how old she is in Season 2, but it's something like 9 or 10 years old, because she's, like, a really little girl in Season 1, like 6 or 7. Yeah. So, a little bit of time passes. But, anyways, yeah, it's good to hear that they, Skybound is going to at least do their best to finish it, that they hired on as many previous team members as they could.
Yeah, it's really shitty, the situation that the devs ended up in.
Yeah, it is. But I'm really glad for both the people invested in the game's development, at least the ones they were able to bring on, and then the players who are interested in how the game story ends are hopefully going to be able to get what they wanted. So, there's a link here. Maybe this says exactly what games have been delisted. Oh, the Jurassic Park game's gone.
What, did people actually notice that?
Well, I didn't notice it until just now. I liked the Jurassic Park game though. Like, it's a good, like, B movie sort of game.
There's dozens of us. Dozens. The Jurassic Park game was, I think, the one everybody always forgets about. That's the Curly Joe.
Yeah. It looks like GOG still has them. According to this article from TechRaptor, GOG still has them. Oh, GOG still got the season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead.
And of course, since GOG sold the Telltale games, it's a lot easier to sail the high seas. I mean, in this case, I think it's justified, don't you?
Yeah, I think so too. It's got the Tales from Monkey Island, 2009 Tales from Monkey Island.
That was actually a really good game. I didn't have the backstory for it because I never played the originals. I actually went back and played the first Tales of Monkey Island.
It's got Back to the Future, and do they have Jurassic Park? Jurassic. Fucking shit. How do I spell? Maybe they don't have Jurassic Park. How do you spell Jurassic? Jurassic? Park?
Jerrasic. I think. No, JUR, sorry. I was starting to type and then Google suggested JAR. So.
All right, they don't have Jurassic Park. So, nobody's got Jurassic Park anymore. Maybe that's not true. Maybe somebody has it.
Weird Al does.
GOG and Steam both don't have it. Hey,
it's one of his best songs.
I think Albuquerque's my favorite Weird Al song, just because it's like
complete nonsense.
It's an original song, and it's complete, utter nonsense and bullshit fuckery, and I love it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, I hate coleslaw.
Oh, Albuquerque. I'm gonna listen to that tomorrow at work, like on repeat for a little while.
Well,
it's like a 15-minute song.
Yeah, I was about to say, on repeat, what, you're going to listen to it all day?
Alrighty. Do you have any final thoughts on that before we...
No, but I'm sure that we're going to be coming all the way back around to this because, this is the story that never ends.
This is the song that never ends. Okie dokie. Well... it's going to end for now, because we're going to go on to our next news story of the night.
Yeah, more death.
Valve discontinues the Steam Link hardware.
Yeah, which...
Rage, take us away on this one, because I know you were...
Well, thanks to Jim, I was able to grab a set of it, because when I I was originally planning on grabbing a Steam Link either during this winter or the next summer sale, just to have it ready for picking up a television and getting my life sorted a bit more. But yeah, I just saw it on my Twitter feed this morning that Steam announced, they're cutting production. They're not cutting support. That's the important thing here. They're moving to software again, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
There's no real statement on this, as far as I can see, about the entire reason why they're doing this outside of just pure speculation.
Yeah, it just seems that they're moving back to a software solution for smartphones, tablets, and TVs. I guess smart TVs.
Yeah, smart TVs has the app as well, but the thing is that the app has been blocked several times by Apple, actually. So them going as a software solution is a dead end right now because they can't get all the smartphones. I mean, granted,
honestly,
we do have phones.
Honestly, for this though, I don't want to trust a software solution.
Plus,
I get that.
Plus, it burns your phone's battery like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I get that at the end of the day, yes, it all works based on software. It's just what hardware is that software running on. But I don't want to rely on an app to do what I can have a dedicated piece of hardware for. Because game streaming is pretty intense. I mean, a lot of the work is done. Most of the work is done by whatever PC you're streaming from. But the Steam Link itself did a small amount of processing on board. It did a little bit more than just decoding the signal and putting it up.
Well,
on the
it was
TV.
also remote control. It was sending controls back.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to trust an app to do that. Because you would be increasing latency on the whole everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like Steam Link, I've got a Steam Link. I have used it extensively. I haven't used it much in the last year. Just because we moved. I got a much better setup for gaming in my office. We've got a completely networked house now. Aside from our bathrooms, we've got Ethernet.
What, you're not getting the smart Japanese toilets?
No, but aside from our bathroom,
or that's
we've got
next
an
year.
Ethernet port.
That's when the tax
port.
returns come in, right?
Yeah, we've got an Ethernet port in every room in the house. So, I mean, I've got desktop PCs everywhere. So if I want to stream games, it's easy because I've got a fully networked home. But when I bought my Steam Link, I did not have that. I basically ran a 50-foot or 100-foot Ethernet cable across the ceiling of our old place to the Steam Link so that I could use it on my TV. And the Steam Link is still hooked up to my TV and plugged into the network. I just don't use it anymore. Maybe I'll sell it on eBay. Maybe it'll be worth a lot of money. Or more money than I paid for it. I think I gave $20 for my Steam Link. I certainly got my money's worth out of it. But, I mean, if you're able to get one right now for $2.99, that's a steal. Because, I mean, if you're not like me, if you don't have a house completely wired, or if you don't have, a mountain of PCs sitting in your office that you can easily stream to, this is a great compact solution.
Yeah, I was about to say, or you don't want to string, HDMI and deal with multi-monitor support. Because, that's another thing.
Yeah. But it's compatible with any Bluetooth controller, and some controllers that aren't Bluetooth that use a
dongle.
A dongle. The support on that's a little more limited, or at least it was the last time I checked. But still, it does work wirelessly, but that can be finicky.
Yeah.
The wireless is fine for something that's turn-based, but if you're going to do anything in real time, you definitely want to have it wired into your network. But
yeah, when I go to use this, which I did get one during the sale, I'm thinking about a 25 or 50-foot Cat6 cable.
Yeah.
Just to make sure, because there's no kill like overkill. I don't think I actually paid tax on this, but after shipping and handling, it's right at $10 for me. Which that was my trading card money.
There you go. Yeah.
So this is probably going to...
I'm sad that it's gone, but...
there was an actually audible no, because wanted to pick up one, when it was going to be more useful to me, but don't have a choice now. Got to get it now, or don't get it at all. I have to admit, I'm a little tempted to get a secondary one, but I don't think that's going to be really a requirement. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if yours ever breaks, you can always hit me up and be like, "Hey, is your Steam Link still working?" Because I mean, I'm getting ready to retire it. Yeah, $20. There's no screen to be smashed on it, though.
All right, 19.
But I mean, I'm getting ready to retire it because I've got an extra laptop now that I'm gonna, I think, pull apart and make like a slim, media PC out of it. Like I saw a build guide on Reddit for how to, essentially pull a laptop board apart and then hook it up to a TV to be used that way. So, I mean, I think that might be my next project.
I just hope the police never come in because, they'll definitely blow up your TV then.
It's a bomb. But, just something to do. Something to do. But, I mean, yeah, I've got, I've got 4 PCs sitting in here right now. I'm going to be looking into getting a new one starting next year, starting a new build, and Lord knows what I'll wind up with. I need to, browse Facebook Marketplace and stuff again and see if I can get some good deals. Find a business that's closing, go buy another box of parts.
Yeah, I don't trust Facebook Marketplace around here because people are stupid here. Looking at some of the apps, some of the essentially just yard sale-esque apps, the flea market apps. There was people that are selling phones that you would hesitate at buying for $20 for full retail price.
Dang. So you can still, I'm just looking, you can still buy the controller.
They then announced that they're discontinuing the controller, and it does seem like the controller was a lot more popular. The Steam Link is an interesting piece of hardware, and I would have thought it would have been a hell of a lot more popular, honestly. But it does make me wonder, do you think they should have had Wi-Fi on that thing and had made it just hardline only? Because everything, all these negative reviews, they seem to focus mostly on wireless connections.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it recommends on there, don't use this with,
you think people actually fucking reading this?
As good. I mean, it's all over the instructions. Do people read them? No, but they do make them in big, bold letters, I guess. And I mean, like I said, the Wi-Fi wasn't terrible if you're going to do something that's turn-based, not Twitch-based, or if you're not worried about the quality being pretty bad. But otherwise, yeah, Wi-Fi wasn't great. It was okay.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, how are they going to do it with the app if, there's no hardline for that?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. Doing Wi-Fi on, using my laptop does a lot better than the Steam Link, because I do know that when you're doing game streaming to another device, the client device does offload some of the work to that, so that makes the Wi-Fi work a little bit better, but it's still better if you plug
but to a phone?
Ethernet. Yeah, I mean, you could still offload some of the processing power to the phone. Phones are pretty decent nowadays if you've got something even in the mid tier. But I don't know. I don't know, because you'd be running it wireless 2 ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it'd be going through the network and then out to the phone and then from your phone to your computer. Or would it be to the phone and then back to the network and then to your computer?
Unless you're like me and you don't bother switching my controller over to the phone, so I'm still directly controlling the computer.
So stream... Okay, so... Yeah, stream directly to phones, tablets, and TV. So there's no way to use this
Yeah, I think they're
with any other device. It has to be built in.
Yeah, I think they're.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think they're really banking on the TV market picking up on this, picking up on the software solution, making an app on smart TVs, pretty much default. And maybe this is where they're going with this, where they're trying to just get their foot in the door in the living room in a different way, because that's what the whole idea of the Steam machines was originally. A small compact computer that was horrendously overpriced. Okay, bad idea there. Let's try the Steam Link. Okay, that requires a fairly decent computer over spec of what the game requires. All right, let's try the TV, and by now computers have caught up. So, yeah, maybe this is them just trying the whole living room marketplace once again, and just trying a different direction with it. And since they are attacking it through the TV now, because a lot of the smart TVs, the new generations of them, do have app support and are have the Steam app installed on it. I think that's where they're trying to go with this. This is another attack vector onto the living room, trying to supplant the console market. But once again, you still have a lot of the stuff, a lot of the heavy lifting on the computer itself, and the TV's not going to be doing anything, right?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit, but I mean, TV processors are nowhere near as powerful as even like what's in a phone. They just don't have to do as much work. I mean, not that they're not doing any work, especially on smart TVs.
Yeah, they're just sitting there on the couch, lazing about, watching TV all day.
I don't know if I'm in a majority or a minority. I don't have a smart TV.
Well, I don't have a TV, period. Yet.
We've got a 46-inch LED TV that basically fills up our entire entertainment stand in our living room. But we've had it for years now, 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, we don't have a smart TV. I don't know if you can buy a TV that's not a smart TV now.
Oh, you can, but it's the low-end market. My neighbor was looking at TVs, and he would occasionally find a non-smart TV going through the Black Friday stuff. It got a good laugh out of him when he would find one.
Can get a 32-inch Amazon Fire TV for $160.
Yeah, Amazon makes all sorts of Amazon basics these days. It's amazing. I got an email the other day about Amazon Basics microwave.
Nice. Good for them.
And it has voice control.
I guess. Oh, here's a Roku TV. Okay. TVs are so complicated now. What if I just wanted to buy a TV? I just want a plain TV. Oh, holy shit. Get a 50-inch TV. Regular, plain old TV. LED, not a smart TV. $230.
Damn. Hook a computer up to that,
What's its resolution?
480. It's like 3 pixels in each direction.
Where are we at? 1080p, 60 hertz refresh rate. It's probably got a high latency since it's a TV, but if you're going to use it not for gaming or depending what type of gaming you do.
Did we just break the budget? Is Katie going to be yelling at us?
No, I'm not. It's not the budget. I don't know where I'm going to put a 50-inch TV. It's too big for our entertainment center. It's too big for even my table in here in my office where I have my current TV sitting in here. So I've got a 32-inch
is that
Samsung.
Is that a weight-bearing wall?
How heavy is it? How heavy does it say it is? It's probably not that heavy. 25 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it's not that heavy given how big
Yeah, it's
it
just
is.
cumbersome.
Color name. The color for this TV is called Just Black. Like that's the color name. Just Black. I like it. I like this TV. I've never heard of this brand before. Actually, that's not true. I have heard of this brand before. It's like a low-end brand. But I mean, shit. A 1080p, 60 hertz refresh rate, 50-inch LED TV for $220. I remember when I bought, this would have been 10, 12 years ago, 2008, 2006, 2005, 2006. I bought a 32-inch LCD TV. It was like $800. Although I've still got that TV. That TV's in our bedroom. It still works. They just don't make TVs like they used to.
Well, obviously, they're all smart now.
But yeah, it's a 32-inch, 720p, 60 hertz, low latency TV. Like that was my first thing that I bought specifically for games. I mean, I was a console gamer at the time, but I was like, I
a peasant.
A good TV. But I mean, you actually could play games at 60 FPS on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 because they were like, we should make a game that plays well, not that tries to get the, air quotes, highest quality pixels.
Well, see, you need the highest quality pixels to be able to see the horse testicles shrinking.
Also, back then, there was a lot closer parity to what the average PC player can get compared to console. Like, I mean, you could buy higher-end PC hardware, like I know that, but the average PC hardware was not as powerful as what you could do with a gaming console because of streamlining, and optimization. Whereas nowadays, I mean, it's just a joke how powerful PC hardware is compared to what you could do with a console.
And also a joke of how unoptimized the average AAA game is, and that would be a hell of a segue if we didn't have something in the way.
It would be. It would be. We have, what was our original topic? Steam Link. Right. I think we're done talking about that.
We went full Kerbalcast, didn't we?
Yeah. Let's move on to our next topic. Star Citizen celebrates its anniversary and $200 million raised with a free week and new planet in-game. We mostly just put that on there so I could say, it's been 4 fucking years, Star Citizen. Why can't you run on my goddamn PC? Multiple attempts at contacting customer support, multiple different solutions. The game won't launch. I've downloaded it and installed it on many different drives. I've tried many different configurations and settings and driver things. The game just hates me and won't work. So, fuck you, Star Citizen. Moving on.
We don't even want to comment that's $200 million.
Fuck you, Star Citizen, and your 200 million bullshit dollars. Kiss my ass. My big old hairy ass. Free week and a new planet. Fuck you. Just work. That's all I want is to work. I spent $40 on you 4 years ago.
Only 40?
I know. Maybe that's why. Maybe
Peasant.
I'm too much of a pleb. Haven't spent enough money to make it work.
I mean, you haven't even spent enough on the game to unlock viewing all the things that you could buy.
I know.
Which the fact that that's a thing and people actually defend that is just mind-boggling to me.
It's been a few months since I've tried. Maybe I'll try again. Not right now. Maybe over the weekend. Although I have to play Dragon Commander, so I probably shouldn't try and play Star Citizen.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't.
Fuck you, Star Citizen. All right, moving on to our final news topic of the night, which is less of a topic and more of just a general discussion. Fallout 76 has had less than half of its Twitch viewers, although I just put on the topic list, Fallout 76, what a shit pile. I was looking at the news topics instead of the actual
Yeah, oh, damn.
list. Yeah, Fallout 76 has gotten less. Like, if you were to grade it, if it was taking a test, it would have gotten less than a 76. It would have failed its own test, hardcore. Saying I have heard nothing but bad things about this game, and I think that's being pretty generous to it.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling just how poor everything is in this game, honestly.
Poorly optimized, crashing, buggy, broken game mechanics.
Boring.
Right?
Boring.
The thing that like has been said multiple times by many people, I think I've even said this myself, is that one of the best things, one of the most redeeming things about any Bethesda game, which helps make all of its bugginess and brokenness tolerable, is they can tell really good stories. And, you know, there's some disagreement about which is the best and, you know, things like that. But in general, most people tend to think that Bethesda's stories are really good. And they removed all of that from Fallout 76 and focused on the mechanics. And the game has suffered horribly for that.
What are you talking about? They have story in the game. What, you don't like 10-minute long audio files that you can't pause or restart and gets cut off whenever there's some sort of event going on?
In a word, no, I don't. I guess that's a phrase. In a phrase, fuck you.
Well, I know you've been trying,
To
but
them.
What do you think about Fallout 76?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played it. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to buy it. I wouldn't play it if they gave it to me for free at this point. Because it's a disaster. But they very clearly don't know what they're doing with this. They have no idea how to make this game. Or how to appeal to this genre. Even Elder Scrolls Online, which is not a great game. It's not as good as any of the single-player ones, but still, like, it's got story and NPCs and characters. And so there's still a lot of things to actually explore and lore to get in the game itself. So while mechanically it's not as good as the other Elder Scrolls games, it still has got a very deep, rich world with a lot of story. And I know it didn't start that way, really. But, you know, this many years on, it's had a lot of work put into it. But, I mean, Fallout 76 just, like, shot itself in the foot with auto VATs. Somehow, even though the percentage chance to hit was 0.
Well, see, the thing is that it was fluctuating and they clicked at the wrong time.
Or at the right time.
Yeah, it's just, there's so many just questionable mechanics on this game. It's not even just coming down to the technical aspects, which are broken even by Bethesda standards, which is saying something. But the fact that they decided to go VATS and do an auto-targeting system that varies wildly, and it also seems like it has an incredibly short range from every gameplay video I've ever seen of this. It seems like the VATS auto-targeting, it starts at 0 until you're about 20 feet away from the target. And then it quickly rises up, then it'll just suddenly fall, then it'll rise up again, then it'll suddenly fall. The fact that you could crash the server by launching 3 nukes at a time, and it seems like people are hacking into nuke codes. Oh, it's just, we could go on and on about this. I think they were really banking on this to be a role-play sandbox, which I have seen people doing. There's been articles about people acting as NPCs and role-playing in the Fallout universe. And I think they were banking on that being more mainstream, but this isn't Gary's mod. This isn't going to be the main focus of the game.
Yeah, I mean, role players are a relatively small portion of the population for any game. And I mean, I'm not like throwing off on them. Like, if you enjoy that sort of thing, by all means, more power to you. Like, that seems like probably the best,
yeah, but usually,
if not only way to enjoy this game.
Yeah, but usually there has to be some sort of system to build off of. And that's one of the reasons why Gary's mod is so popular about role-playing, is that you can put in any systems you want to build as a framework for your role play. For this, it's a sandbox that has no sand in it. There's nothing to play with. It's just a box. And it's not even a complete box. I mean, there's a giant side of it missing, and it's on fire, and it's somehow speed hacking because its frame rate is unlocked.
Yeah. And the physics are based around the frame rate.
Yeah, and now it's glitching into the ground and now flying through the air.
Not some kind of server tick rate or anything like that.
Oh, and that,
maybe it's both. Maybe both are involved and they fight each other.
And now the server crashed, and because it doesn't autosave often enough, you've lost 10 minutes of game time.
Yeah, I've heard that frequently from people. Multiple times from Jim Sterling.
Oh.
Between his YouTube videos and podcasts, I've heard many things wrong about this game from him alone. Not to mention other people like Young Ye and oh damn it, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The
Sid Alpha?
Sid Alpha.
Yeah, Total Biscuit like.
Yeah. And others whom I follow or listen to in various formats. Like, nobody has anything good to say about this game.
Okay, let's just go over to Metacritic. I hate using the Metacritic score, but it's a good aggregate for all the reviews.
I hope it's less than 76. I want it to be less than 76.
Ooh! Ow!
Oh, 49!
What one am I looking at? I'm looking at the PC version.
Oh, I'm just looking at the overall, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's on the front page or their home page or whatever.
The PC version has a 61.
This is for PS4. 49 on PS4.
Wow. That should be telling, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's put it this way. Well, there's also only a handful of reviews for it on PC, so that may be why. And there's 2 of them that are actually really good reviews for it. Exploring is still the most interesting part of Fallout 70. Exploring is still the most interesting part in Fallout 76. But your adventure tour is limited to empty open world, outdated graphics performance. It's more like an MMO mod of Fallout 4 rather than a brand new game work. Rated 76.
Metascore 49, user score 2.8 for PS4.
Rated 2.9 on the
One.
PC version with 2,700 reviews. And it's pretty much just all either 1s or 10s.
On Xbox One, 62 Metascore, 2.4 user score. So, quite bad all around.
Yeah, there was a video of a guy absolutely flipping his shit in a GameStop because they wouldn't give him a refund. Because
I saw that. He, trashed the store.
To be fair, that's probably the most fun he had out of Fallout 76.
Yeah, probably.
I do have...
still, trashing a store is not cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the GameStop's employees' fault that the game sucks.
No.
I mean, I do have a morbid curiosity on what they did with the map, just because I live in that area. But, that it'd be like if they did a Fallout 76 in Tennessee, you'd at least want to see what the world is like that they envisioned, right?
Yeah.
It does make me wonder. Assuming this has the rabid, completely blind fan base that is able to hang on to this game and generate enough microtransactions, because of course it has a cosmetic store.
Yep, and those card packs for your perk whatevers are rife for microtransactions.
They say that they're not going to put monetization in for that.
They will.
I would be shocked if that isn't in a roadmap somewhere, especially as a last-ditch effort. Because, damn.
Yeah.
especially
especially
as the game matures, because that's the other thing is that this is a live service game, and it does have the possibility. Granted, I think it's a lot longer shot of a possibility to pull a No Man's Sky where it could actually be a game after a few hundred patches. But considering the track record of Bethesda, that's why I give it a lot more of an outside possibility, because Bethesda has gotten lazy, and it really saddens me to say it, because I absolutely loved Morrowind. I enjoyed Oblivion. I wasn't as much of a fan of it, but I think I was more in with Morrowind, and maybe going back now, I'd be more favorable to Oblivion just because of modern game mechanics. But Bethesda's just gotten so lazy. Maybe they should give up the development game and just become a publisher and license out the Fallout license. And I know a game studio I'd love to see them send it to. And no, this isn't in any way connected to a Game Club game that we've done recently. No, not at all. And maybe actually give them a decent time frame. And not fuck them over because the Metacritic score was 1 point below, giving them a giant bonus. No, not at all.
Nah, not at all. So back to what you said, Fallout being in Tennessee. I had a quick think about that while you were talking.
It would be a curiosity if it's on deep discount.
A Fallout game would be great in Tennessee because we have both Watts Bar, which is a nuclear power plant, and Oak Ridge, where the nuclear bomb was developed. So that would be interesting from a lore perspective.
Yeah, and considering Tennessee would have been a lot more of a target.
Yeah. So that would be fun. Bethesda, and do that next time. I know you're listening. You listen in, obviously. Fuck Fallout 76.
Well, probably not anymore.
But you can fix it by making the next Fallout game be set in Tennessee. Let's do it.
But you see what I mean by having a morbid curiosity about just what they did to the in that area.
Yeah.
And see if, like, you know, your house is there. Or you know, something approximately where your house would be.
Yeah, that would be cool. I really want American Truck to get to Tennessee eventually. Maybe they will in like 10 years as they slowly come east across the United States. We'll have to go to Chattanooga, Nashville, Knoxville.
Oh, the West Virginia DLC. If they go off the interstates to some of the highways here, oh, that would be challenge mode.
Yeah. Dayton probably wouldn't show up in the map. We're too small.
Yeah.
Although maybe there's some manufacturing coming to Dayton in the next few years. I doubt it.
Well, unless the tariffs chase it away.
Yeah.
Don't get you started on politics right now.
Yeah, let's not do that. We've already gone long enough over. So
yeah, well, we'll save it for post-show banter.
Fallout 76 sucks. Moving on. Next on our topic list. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say it's Community Corner, and boy, this is going to be short. Basically, we got nothing. So if you wish to actually, put some content in the Community Corner, send your emails, vglpodcast@gmail.com, or tweet us, VGLpodcast, on the Twitter.
Indeed. So let's do one over and do a Discovery
And I got one instantly.
Discovery Q says I viewed all the games for today.
I had to start a new one, but every time I close it and reopen the Steam website, it says that I've viewed all my games, but if I click start a new queue, it takes me right back to where I was. So, Sunset Overdrive.
That was an Xbox exclusive, wasn't it?
Yes, not anymore, though.
I guess not.
Open world shoot 'em up, I think it was, with a little bit of Jet Set Radio mixed into it.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's a $20 game, so they're selling it at a discount. So, it's none of this bullshit, release it several years later at full AAA price.
Well, that interests me.
Yeah, it's a it looked like a very interesting game, but it just fell off my radar because it was Xbox exclusive. So, I just didn't expect to ever be able to play it, but, well, here we are. I mean, it's an Insomniac game. That should give you an idea of the quality of it, right? They typically do pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're into that sort of game, there you go.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
I've got one. I'm way behind on the games in this series, and I don't own any of them, but I need to get on it. Sword Art Online Lost Song. So it looks like this is taking place during Series 2, Season 1.5, whatever, in Alfheim Online. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you've got no clue. But they've been releasing like one of these a year, or one of these every 6 months for the last couple of years. I gotta get on this. I love Sword Art Online. And that was one of the... Sword Art Online was really the show that got me back into anime after a long hiatus. Mm-hmm. And I know it's like, oh, this is cliche, mainstream anime. Well, it's mainstream because lots of people like it.
Well, at least it's not Black Clover. Ugh.
Is this maybe a DLC or an expansion? It's only $20. Let's see. Does it? It doesn't say you have to have the base game for it, so maybe...
No, they do link to the Bandai Namco Entertainment franchise on Steam. That's new. I've never seen that particular thing before, but it doesn't look like it's the DLC.
Cool. On my wish list.
Okay, well, I got another one on my second draw. And kind of interesting that I used the term draw there. Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. Single-player, role-playing, kind of almost tabletop-esque Witcher game. Supposedly it's not doing as well as CD Projekt Red was hoping, but it looks like it's still pretty positively reviewed. Maybe it's just a case of, the name not catching on because, people see Thronebreaker, a Witcher Tale, and don't think The Witcher, right?
Yeah.
But isometric RPG with some sort of card battle mechanic, it looks like, according to the screenshots. Maybe Gwent. I haven't actually played Gwent, so I'm not sure if that actually is Gwent there, but if they're mixing Gwent into it, that's one thing that I'm a little shocked now that I really think about, is that we don't see many games really use the CCG mechanics in a single-player game. Right?
Yeah, not really. There's a few.
Yeah, there's a handful, but, you don't see that many. It's still at the point where it's a curiosity whenever it happens.
So I got another one. If you're...
there's not too much to talk about here.
Okay. Simple Rockets 2.
Oh, that's supposedly really good.
Yeah. I played the first Simple Rockets. I really liked it. This looks like an improvement both graphically and interface-wise. Looks like you can do a lot more in it. This looks like... what would that be? The V2 rocket that they put together. They're using on the screenshot. And it says that they're working on a planet builder. I don't know if that means you can create your own planets to mess around with. And a campaign mode, which sounds fun.
I was about to say, I hope that they do some sort of campaign mode. But there we go.
Yeah. Look good, though. I'm in for more games like this. KSP. Oh.
Warhammer 40k Mechanitis is mine. Next one. What? Did you just pull that one?
No, I didn't. I pulled an anime booby game.
Oh boy. So we're going for...
It's my one for the week.
Go
ahead.
Warhammer 40k, it's really ran the gambit between really good games and really, really shit ones. Yeah, much like the one that we're going to be talking about next, I'm sure. But this looks like it's turn-based tactics, so Warhammer 40k meets XCOM.
You have my attention, sir.
Well, it's a little hard to tell. I'm not sure if there's some sort of cover mechanic. Granted, Warhammer 40k, you don't really need cover because Space Marines in the Warhammer universe count as human if you use the term very, very loosely. Based on the lore, they have all sorts of extra organs implanted, all sorts of enhancements to various bodily systems. There's something like 19 or 20 some different enhancement suites that they go through. So they're very loosely based as human. But I'm just clicking through here, and it looks it's being suggested to me because I played a Xenonauts. That should give you an idea of where we're going with this, huh?
Nice. Yeah, I'm in for that. I'm also in for Love Kame Healing Harem.
Oh, God.
The third chapter in the Love Kame series tells the story of love, troubles, and more, as Akira helps the, Tatarigami goddesses that bring this fortune, Yukari, Shion, and Keita, with their problems. I mean, it's anime boobies. The first tag is nudity. Looks pretty bad. Although it's another one that's got this new thing. Check out the entire Moe novel franchise.
Yeah, maybe that's...
And it pulls it over to the little thing. It says beta, so it's got to be new.
Or maybe that's an update that we missed on the news sweep.
But this is cool. It puts it into, like, collections. You can see games that are on sale, new releases. This is neat. I
got one.
Is this a way to aid the discovery process, maybe?
Maybe.
If it is, I like the look of this. Now let's watch them somehow.
Or it's a progression of their not curator, but their publisher and developer pages. Am I up next?
Yeah.
So I got Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Nice.
About the only thing decent to come out of that extremely overly long pod racing sequence out of Episode 1 was 3 or 4 total pod racing games. Most of them were pretty good. And this was the one that kicked it off. This is the Nintendo 64 variant. Not sure if they did anything to really enhance the game. I mean, the game looks very rough by today's standards, but looking at screenshots isn't really fair for this game because the game moves damn quickly. It has
I think they upresed it to, or give it, an HD remaster.
Yeah, it does look like these screenshots are in proper resolutions, or proper modern resolutions. But look at the UI on this, and look how pixelated it looks.
Yeah. I mean, it's old. I had this game for N64.
Yeah, I did as well. I actually got it on clearance at Walmart for like $5.
I got it as like a birthday present or something. But I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
This is I owned 2 or 3 of the Pod Racer games. I know there was one on there's this one on N64.
There was a PlayStation 1
one. One on PS2. Okay, and there's one on PS1.
Or was it
also.
PlayStation 2? I can't remember if it was PS1 or PS2 at that time.
I mean, it could have been both.
I know it.
And then there was one
I know the
well.
loading times were just atrocious on it, but then again, PlayStation, right?
Yeah, pulling it all off the CD. But I feel like the N64 one was the best because it gave you the most customization in terms of like being able to upgrade your pod racer, and I think it had the most racers.
I know the one I played on PlayStation. I'm not sure if it's PlayStation 2 or 1. It had Teenage Anakin, so it wasn't little kid Annie, right? Little orphan Annie, huh? Huh?
Hi-oh. The sense of speed, though, like they nailed that in the N64 version better than the one that I played on PS2. But they did.
I think it was the tracks. The tracks were a lot more condensed on the PlayStation 1. They tried to make them more detailed and cram them together. And because of that, you never really had a time like on the Tatooine track where you have that long well, it's not really a straightaway, but it's like this long curve throughout the desert after you go through the canyon. And you're able to hit top speed and, really hit the boosters and, get that great sense of speed. On the tracks I played on the PlayStation, there was nothing like that. Never anything close.
Yeah.
The N64 really understood that you had to, get that long, fast section. Green, there was often some sort of obstacle there you had to avoid, but that's pod racing, right?
Now this is pod racing.
Oh, that was pod racing because that was the last game of my queue.
Well, let's see. I got episode 1 racer also. You just talked about that.
I did get your Sword Art Online, and I got a couple really trash games.
That is it for me. So
4 and 3. It's going to be fun.
Excellent.
It's going to be fun going through the Steam Discovery Queue list and looking back in the year for the VGL awards.
Indeed, I accidentally bit a piece off of my cough drop and ew, it's got this weird mouth taste.
What, you're tasting your mouth?
I guess. Nah. It's no bueno. No bueno. Cough drops are meant to be sucked, not chewed.
Yeah, you're supposed to suck, not bite.
Just like penises. Speaking of penises, welcome to the portion of the podcast where I go first.
And now for your next trick, you're going to eat a bag of dicks?
Absolutely. Just the whole bag of dicks. On the YouTubes. Not actually going to eat dicks. I have eaten penis before, but it was cow penis. So
yeah, that hardly counts.
I don't know if that counts.
No, you got to go full. What was it, Jeffrey Dahmer?
Did he eat
dicks? I'm blanking on which one it was that met a guy and fed him his own dick. I don't know. I didn't sleep well the last couple of days, so I'm kind of blanking a lot today. I'm blanking a lot. You're wired as fuck.
This is now in my search history. Serial killer that fed victim his own penis. All right. So, welcome to the portion of the podcast where I go first. If you want to find my things on the YouTubes, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at JMA4707. If you want to be my friend on Steam, you can send a friend request to jararthur4707. I accept all of those lovely friend requests from you lovely people and have chats with you guys every week. And, yeah, disclaimer for what's in the post or what's after the credits. It involves things that were enough to make me go, ugh.
And if you wish to also make him go, and send him the password for the week, that is one big pile of shit.
Well, now I gotta go watch Jurassic Park.
Because you need to hear the quote, that is one big pile of shit. And of course, you also now know what the GIF is going to be this week.
I can handle that. It's a good GIF. All right, what about you,
And very
buddy?
telling, isn't it?
Indeed.
Oh, well, not much going on my YouTube channel because, well, I hurt my ribs, shoulder Friday, so that lost me my recording days because, yeah, trying to breathe whenever, your ribs is sore, not fun, and in order to record and not go, just say a couple words and then have to take a break and take another, not fun. So I ended up not recording and not streaming. So I'm just on my backlog of RimWorld stuff for the time being. And I have one episode left of Spin Tires because between the two of us, we just haven't been able to record lately. Either you've been spent, I've been spent. We've had issues. We're going to have to get on that, right?
Yeah.
So I've been rationing out spin tires as much as I can and just doing one episode a week. Hopefully that'll end and not in the I'm out of episodes way. So we'll have to see about that. RimWorld's still going strong though, and there's always the random wackiness that is RimWorld. I actually forgot about a Rim in that game, and it kind of came back to bite me in the ass the last episode I released. If you wish to find out more about that, you can check it out over at Gaming with Caffeine Rage on the YouTubes, or occasionally I stream on Twitch. It seems like something always gets in the way. Either I've hurt myself, or we have to record spin tires because we missed Monday, or something else. But I'll try to stream on Twitch when I can. That is caffeine_rage. And since I have far, far, far away from an actual decent schedule on that, you'll have to go over to my Twitch, Gaming with CR, and get a little bit of a forewarning, or I do mention it on Discord, but yeah, I think Twitch is the better option there, don't you think?
I think so too.
And something else I think is that for one, my voice is trying to give out. I talked too much in the beginning of the episode, so I had to shut up for most of it. Which I'm sure that makes this a very popular episode. Once again, you could reach us, VGLpodcast@gmail.com, with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or just tweet them to us, VGL Podcast, on the Twitter. Our patrons have really made this podcast a lot more possible than what it otherwise would be, and we are very, very thankful to you. If you wish to help support the podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/VGL Podcast, which has paid for our Podbean account, which hosts our RSS feed, our show notes, links to all our junk online, and, well, you can find that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com. But you can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and, well, where most decent shows are found, right?
Stitcher, Spreaker. We're not on Spreaker anymore because they suck.
Anymore? Did you ever get that to work?
No, not really. I mean, there were a few episodes there at one point.
Well, I'll tell you what does work. Our intro and outro music, On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our Discovery Q music, Doobly Doo, by the same artist. His work can be found at incompetech.com, and
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you may want to turn it off because what's coming up really grossed out Jared. And that's saying something. Just forewarning to you.
It did. It's pretty rough.
I mean, it's bad for him. It made his penis want to retreat inside his body. I mean, that says something.
It did do that. Also, happy Thanksgiving if you're an American, and just happy whatever day you're listening to this if you're not. 7 of the most stomach-churning cannibal killers of all time.
Well, it'll be there if it's an actual story.
8 people that he killed. Oh god. This dude like killed people while he was fucking them, and then he would eat
Basic
them.
Instinct?
Oh gee, he would eat the uteri of his female victims and the testicles of his male victims.
Damn. Well, at least he didn't discriminate. So, he had that going for him, which is nice.
8 over 70 people.
Boy, he was hungry.
Oh, this guy ate human meat that he grilled with lemons.
Bastard! You're
And
supposed
he
to.
grilled the lemons.
You're supposed to use lime. Or it may be oranges, but only if they're Asian. Is that racist?
Oh god, no! Here it is. Armin Maiwas?
Okay, so I
Muse?
was just grabbing a name at random, but hey, it's a thing.
Yeah, he cut off this guy's penis and made him eat it, and then he couldn't eat it raw. Then the guy cooked it and fed it to him. Then he fed the rest of it to his dog, and then the serial killer gave the guy a cocktail to numb the pain, and then killed him.
Boy, he didn't start off with the cocktail?
No. No, he did not. All right, that's enough internet for today.
You know it's bad whenever you get weirded out.
Yeah, my penis feels weird right now, but not like in a good way. Just it's like it's being like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? This is not what you're supposed to like do for me.
It's trying to retreat into your abdominal cavity now.
Yeah,
it's just scary out here.
I may actually cut that out and put it as post credits or something. That's kind of intense. That might be too intense for some people. That's probably a good idea. Timestamp. Looking. Got it.